What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. If you guys are new to this channel, stop real quick, hit the subscribe button down below, and stay tuned for more content. Today we're going to be painting the yellow TRD FRS. So if you guys watched the previous vlogs, then you guys would know that the yellow FRS is getting a complete wide body kit painted, installed, and everything. And so today I'm going to show you guys step by step how to paint your fiberglass kits, and we're going to be installing it on the FRS. So without any further ado, let's start the video. I went ahead and washed down the entire kit, as you can see, just with regular dish soap and a Scotch-Brite pad, just to get rid of all the dirt and debris on the kit. And so now I'm just gonna let it sit in the sun for a while, let it dry, and then we'll move it into the booth. And I realized I've never even shot a single video of a first-person view of me painting, so today I'm gonna strap on the GoPro and show you guys how to paint step by step in your own freaking garage. So let's go ahead, let this thing dry out, and then we'll start moving it into the booth. Alright boys, I got all the parts inside the garage ready to paint, but before we can go ahead and paint these parts, we're gonna need to wipe it down with some wax and grease remover. And I'll be using this low lint paper towels, wax and grease remover in this spray bottle thing, but it's just basically just standard. And so I'm gonna give all the parts a very thorough wipe, because this is the last step before you paint. So if there's dirt or oil or anything on it, it will show through the paint, and you don't want to deal with fisheye or having a bunch of dust in your paint or anything like that. So let's get right into wiping down these parts. Alright boys, as you can see, all the parts are super duper clean and is finally ready for paint. So first thing we're gonna do before we can go ahead and lay the color is we have to spray our primer sealer right here. So I'm using Nason primer sealer. I'm using white because the color we're gonna be painting the kit is yellow, and white goes best with yellow, so that's why I went with white. But basically you just choose whatever color is the closest to your color. If you're painting a dark color, you use dark primer. If you're painting a light color, use light primer. And we're mixing this with the activator 4:1. So let's go ahead and switch over to the GoPro head cam so I can give you guys that juicy first person perspective. Boom, we're on the GoPro. So when you get primer, it's usually really gunky on the bottom, so you make sure to stir it up real good and get all those clumps. Look at that, those are clumps. You want to mix that in. Alright, I got my mixing cup right here, and usually on the mixing cup, every single one you get, there's going to be ratios on the side. Since this is 4:1, we're going to fill it up to the number 8 with primer, and then to the next number 8 with activator. Alright, we got our primer sealer all mixed up. Now it's time to finally spray it onto the kit. So how I usually set up this gun is I turn the fluid 2.5 turns out, turn the fan all the way open, and then when I start to test spray, I usually spray about this far away from the panel, hold it for 3 seconds. If it runs, I turn it in. If it's spraying a little too dry, then I turn it a little out until it's nice and perfect. You want to make sure it doesn't run within those 3 seconds, and then that'll be perfect. With this gun I'm using an Iwata LPH 400, and I'm spraying at about 25 psi. So let's go ahead and get strapped up and start spraying, baby. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this right here is a tack cloth. You're going to want to wipe down all your panels with it to remove all the dust before you spray. Alright guys, I just finished spraying up the sealer. Now you just go sit down, grab a bite to eat, let it sit for like 1 or 2 hours, and then we can start shooting base coat. 2 hours has passed and the sealer is super dry now, so now it's finally time to start laying our base coat. So when you're buying paint, there's a bunch of different type of brands you can get, and they're usually in tiers. There's like lower tier paint, not so good color match, mid tier, and high tier. In order to get a good paint match, what I do is I buy half of it in low tier paint, which is this PPG Omni right here, just so we can get the color on, and then the other half in the high tier, which is right here, PPG Deltron. The reason why I do that is because the Deltron will be sprayed on top, so that will be the color the panel actually turned out to be. And this is more of like, let's say it's like a sealer that's the same color as the base coat, if that makes sense. This will allow you to cut your paint cost by like 30% because you're buying low tier and high tier rather than all of it being high tier, because this is like triple the price of regular Omni. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start mixing this paint. This right here mixes 1-to-1, so that means 1 part base coat and 1 part reducer right there. of this yellow. I finally got base coat all done. Man, I hate spraying yellow. It's so transparent that you have to just hammer on coat after coat just to get a nice and even finish. But let me go ahead and show you guys how the base coat looks like. It laid down super smooth, so now it's time to lay on the bling bling, the clear coat. So the clear coat I'll be using is this Luma based brand right here. It's a house brand by Westco Auto Body Supply. Right here it's a 4-to-1 clear, so that means 4 parts clear and 1 part activator. How I usually will spray clear is I'll put on like 1 light to medium coat just to give it like that tackiness to it, and after that I go back and I hit it with some medium to wet coats, and I usually do around 2 to 3 of those just to make sure I have enough layers in case I need a wet sand and buff. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and mix up our clear and tack down all of the parts just to get rid of any dust that might be laying on it while it dried up. After 4 coats of clear, I finally got the entire kit all painted, and this shit is bussin'. It's looking so good. Let me go ahead and show you guys the freshly painted kit. I pretty much wrapped up the entire kit as you guys saw from the last clip. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, so I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.